Yes, you guys, welcome back. I'm EFC, this is Blue Lions TV, and today I'm bringing back the first player review video of this new season after our beautiful, dominant, total footballing performance against Crystal Palace today. Wow, 3-0, one of the best opening games I've seen in many seasons, you guys. It had everything you wanted to see today, and it gave us the platform now to continue to ride this wave, and it's given us the platform now to really push on and show the rest of the Premier League that we are serious about trying to win this Premier League title, you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I've released a match review as well. Make sure you guys give that a watch too. And if you like today's video, if you're happy to see us winning 3-0, if you're happy to see Pulisic Chalobah continue to display his immense qualities for the club, then please smash the like button. I want to get over 2,500 likes for today's video. Without wasting no more time, we kick things off and we give a score to our manager and Thomas Tuchel. Now for me, managers always give the team the platform for, these types of successes in games like this today. And without a doubt, Tuchel played an instrumental part, as he always does. We're so privileged to have one of the greatest tacticians in football right now. And it was decisions like the lineup he picked. Of course, Chalobah had to continue, especially after his masterful performance against Sevilla. And Tuchel was rewarded for keeping his faith in him. Of course, his use of rotation as well, and the tactics too. I mean, the tactics today was what really helped us just dominate Crystal Palace. Constant overloads in the wide areas. The use of the players in Mount and Pulisic receiving in the half spaces constantly just tore Palace apart time and time again. Their defenders were forced to have to leave their defensive line to close them down. Midfield players were constantly forced to leave positions to try and close them down. And it allowed us to keep moving the ball very easily from left to right, finding and picking holes whenever we wanted to do so. From details like this, the man management, because the players can't be showing this intensity just like this after such a difficult game against Villarreal. It only made sense that Tuchel today gets a very high score, and for that reason I'm going to be scoring our manager a 9 out of 10. Now we move on to the first team and we start with Mendy in goal. Now these are the performances that I like to see from Mendy, where he barely and rarely ever gets tested. The few times he has to do something though, all he has to do is come up strong from set pieces, which he did time and time again. He has to make sure he's keeping his frame big. He has to make sure that his concentration is there as well. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 times one of his passes from his goal kicks went off, but other than that, this was another typically composed performance from Mendy. And for me, we have a title-winning goalkeeper in this team. So for that reason, I'm going to score him a 7 out of 10. We now move on to the defense, and we start with Pulisic Chalobah. Wow, what a performance today. I mean, he's literally just so tailor-made for this back three system. For me, another success story from our academy. You guys need to realize that we've been using a back three setup before even Tuchel was a thing. We've been doing this for days, you guys, and it's no surprise that now so many of these guys are shining under Tuchel because they complement the setup. But, it's interesting though. Chalobah was one of those guys where I'm sure he would have been written off by so many people, not even really taken too seriously, because, I don't know, it feels like it's always like hype and clout that dictates whether a player is good or not. And, the reality is people don't watch these guys, so they don't really know. Doesn't really matter what he did at Lorient and his other loan spells, as I keep stressing all the time. Our academy is like the equivalent of going to like Oxford or Cambridge, and to even get accepted, you need to be one of the very best. From when these guys were kids, they've been competing every single year to keep their place in the team, competing against some of the country's best and brightest talents. We have to understand this. So it means that when they leave the club, they leave with such a high understanding of the game, because they really have to be great players to still be with us. So if they don't do things out on loan, it doesn't matter, because they're playing for smaller teams that aren't going to get the best out of them. It's when they come back and play with the big boys, that's when you really see what they're about, and that's when you really see their common education. Chalobah showed agency today. He didn't just play it safe. He looked to make a mark in the game today, and that was why he decided to take that long shot in the game. He could have simply passed it to Azpilicueta down the outside, and Tuchel would have been happy with that, but Chalobah's like, no, I'm better than that. I'm going to show the manager, and I'm going to show the entire stadium what I'm really about. And come on, you guys, from some of the passes he played to how he was so confident galloping forwards, it's simple. We don't need Koundé. Buy to Koundé, he can go. We're keeping Chalobah now. For that reason, I'm going to be scoring him a 9 out of 10. We move on to Andreas Christensen, and I thought he had a very good game. Wow, his anticipation levels. He was quick off the mark, leaving his line to close down danger non-stop. He absolutely had Mateta in his back pocket, and then he had Benteke in his back pocket, and Benteke is still one of the best aerial strikers in the league. So the fact that Christensen is knocking guys like this to the floor really shows you the levels that we've seen physically from him, because he's a lot stronger and his frame's a lot bigger too. He showed that he could be the guy to replace Thiago Silva in the middle. This was a great performance from him today, and for that reason, I'm going to be scoring him a 7.5 out of 10. And now we end things with the back three by moving on to Antonio Rudiger, who really is one of the best defenders in the division. And I never thought he'd be one of them, but without a doubt, he is one of the top 3, top 5 in this country, and just everything he does playing in the system, man, it's just utter complete understanding, from the positioning to details like that interception against Zaha. That was one of those interceptions where back in the day, Rudiger's on the floor and his man skipping past him for fun. Not anymore. This is the improvement we're seeing in everyone in the team right now, Rudiger being one of the prime examples of this, and he put in another big performance with the team today and was very good at helping us play out from the back as well. So for that reason, I'm going to score him a 7 out of 10. And now we move on to the wing backs, and we start with one of the goal scorers today in Marcos Alonso. And wow, what an incredible free kick from him. Now most times his free kicks are normally on target and they're testing the goalkeeper. So he does have an elite shooting technique, and that free kick he took was beautiful, you guys. But for me, it was his entire performance today. It was positive. There was one moment in the second half when Jorginho played this brilliant cross-field pass towards him, and he attempted like a Van Basten first-time volley from a very tight area, hitting the goalkeeper and getting it on target. That sums up his unique shooting style and technique. And it's just moments like that, playing for the team, using his frame so many times to be a platform to, bring others into the game. How many times did Pulisic come out, make runs off of Alonso, who, looks to attract those players towards him and then has the composure in tight areas to play out. I feel like I need to soften my stance on him, because actually he's done a lot more positives than he's done negatives over his entire Chelsea career. For that reason, I'm going to be scoring Alonso an 8.5 out of 10. Now we move on to Azpilicueta, and wow, he put in another great performance to you guys. Down that right hand side in particular, he was constantly free of any marker. Of course, it comes down to the half spaces being occupied. That freed the space up for him, but Azpilicueta was still positive on the ball. He was putting in some very dangerous crosses. He was linking up very well, some very good 1-2s. He was constantly an outlet, getting forwards. Defensively, he was quick off his mark to close down the opposition defenses, and both him and Alonso played their part in helping stem those counter-attacks against Palace. Very good performance today, and for that reason, I'll be scoring Azpilicueta an 8 out of 10. Now, we move on to the midfields. I've been waiting for this. We start with Jorginho, and absolutely dominated the midfields. And it's not just how he dominated, it was the presence on the fields. It was the positivity with the passing, the agency. He made things happen time and time again, and that's all I've ever asked from Jorginho. He has improved, I've seen that. His passing technique now when it's off the ball, you're seeing that dip there now. Before it was way too flat, way too floaty, and it was no surprise why he wasn't looking to find no one, but he's clearly been working on that, I assume, and it's speaking volumes now in his game. I mean, the passes between the lines, the switch balls, some of the beautiful half turns as well throughout as well. Wow, they couldn't get close to him, they couldn't mark him. And on top of that too, you guys, the counter-pressing platform he gave. I mean, did you see the ground this guy covered in midfield today? Oh, Jorginho, Super Saiyan Jorginho. If this is you and your ascendant form, man, I'm very happy to see. Keep this trim. Today, I'm scoring you an 8.5 out of 10. And alongside him, we move on to Kovacic, who, again, played his part alongside Jorginho, especially from that counter-pressing defensive view. At times he was constantly very close to Jorginho. He was constantly pressing Crystal Palace players in their half, which we needed. We need our midfield players to push on to, help support the numbers up there. And by doing that, Palace really struggled to play out from the back, and this was a very intelligent game from Kovacic today. He wasn't constantly going on runs with the ball like we normally tend to see him do. This time he had to focus more on his passes instead. And, although he wasn't playing passes in like Jorginho today, I felt he gave a very good defensive presence for the team alongside him. And maybe I'll be seeing like a more defensive cover in this team Who knows, but on paper, I think it could work. So for that reason, I'll be scoring him a 7.5 out of 10. And now let's move on to complete the team, you guys. We move on to the attack, and we start with Mason Mount. Now, as I was stressing, the half spaces was key to getting this win today because it pinned Crystal Palace back. Mount today was constantly roaming between the lines. He was on the left, he was on the right, moving everywhere. A lot of times we were seeing like a new piece of skill in his game now, where it's a bit De Bruyne-esque in the sense that, you know, he's receiving the half space and instantly he's putting a first time ball into the books. That's what I want to see. We saw some exquisite touches in the half turn. We know his customary half turn touches. He received from Pulisic Chalobah in one instance and spun so beautifully and kick-sided attack. I thought it was dangerous from set pieces too. I thought maybe some of his dead balls from corners were a little bit iffy, but you know, it's pre-season vibes still. I can understand why it's not consistent. But yeah, this guy looks hungry today. He's clearly looking to add to the goals and the assists, and you know, plays a key part in the team whenever we win a game. So for that reason, I will be scoring Mason Mount an 8 out of 10. And now we move on to Pulisic, who again had a bit of a slow start, but quickly grew into the game and provided that threat and was providing the things alongside Mason Mount which this team needed to be able to tactically beat Crystal Palace, which won us this game today. You know, at times he demonstrated some nice close control and quick thinking on his feet. He took his goal very well. I liked some of the positions he was finding actually when he was attacking the spaces inside the books. That's what Pulisic can do. That's what he's best at doing. And it was no surprise that due to his own endeavour, he was able to get the second goal off that rebound. Yeah, on top of that too, I saw some good defending off the ball, which is something I'm always looking for from Christian. And today he provided that. It was a great performance. And for that reason, I'll be scoring him an 8 out of 10. This now means that we end things with Timo Werner. And to be honest, it wasn't a terrible game. His performance wasn't as good as the rest of his teammates, for sure, but this wasn't a bad game. You know, he kind of struggled at times, wasn't involved as much. When he was involved, at least his shots were on target. I think there was one maybe that wasn't in the second half, where it was a great pass in behind from Chalobah, nice little backspin pass, and you're thinking that Werner has to do better in those isolated moments. I feel like he uses his pace to get into good positions, but then his technique lets him down. I like to see him hold onto the ball a bit longer instead of just constantly giving it away every single time. And I don't know, at the same time, I still think that we don't look to play him in quickly enough, but this team is much more suited to having a more physical focal point than Timo Werner consistently. So I don't know, today you guys, I'll be scoring Werner a 6.5 out of 10. And before we end this video very quickly, I'll quickly score Reece James and Kai Havertz. I'm going to give both these guys a 7 out of 10. I thought when Kai came on, he looks hungry. He was showing some nice turns and spins and movement. There was one in particular in the second half when a cut back cross, which he, you know, created for himself by just spinning off his marker beautifully. Jorginho funding with a great pass again. We thought he was going to make it 4, but it wasn't to be. But I thought it was confident showing to both of them. And of course, their fitness is nearly there. And wow, they're going to add so much more to this team. So you guys, on that note, that is the end of the player ratings video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you guys are excited for the season, man, because it seems like special things are brewing right now. So on that note, I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.